Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Tickets Towards Success podcast, where we talk about health, fitness, finance, and the mindset needed to thrive in all areas of life. I am your host, Tucker Nanakoven, and thank you so much for tuning into this episode today. Today's episode, we're unpacking something that affects every single one of us, and that's stress. We're going to talk about stress and cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and how managing that wisely could be the key to unlocking a longer and healthier life. So what you can kind of expect in today's episode is what cortisol is and how it works in your body, why chronic stress is a silent killer, how cortisol levels impact longevity, metabolism, energy, and much, much more. Natural and science-backed ways to manage your stress. I'm going to share some personal reflections on how stress has impacted my own training in my life. Just a sneak peek, I am a very stressed out person, or at least I feel like I am, due to the amount of tasks that I give myself. I do not think that stress is necessarily a bad thing, but I think it can play a role in living a healthy lifestyle. We're also going to talk about some tools that you can start using today to build a healthier, more resilient body and mind. So just as a quick reminder, if you do enjoy this episode today, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought, whether that's good or bad. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future for any topics on episodes. I'd love to hear your insights, and go ahead and share this with someone that you think could benefit from this episode or any of the other episodes that I've posted so far. I would greatly, greatly appreciate that. With that being said, let's jump in to today's episode. Let's start with what is cortisol and why does it matter? Let's just kind of start with the basics. Cortisol is a hormone that is produced by our adrenal glands in response to stress. So when we feel stressed, our adrenal glands produce cortisol. It's a vital part of the fight or flight system that keeps us alive. So when cortisol spikes, our body is preparing to survive a threat, whether that's real or a perceived threat. While this is good, right? We want our body to prepare us to survive said threat, if there is one. But there is a slight problem with this, because most of the people out there are living in a chronic state of stress. That means that our cortisol stays elevated for longer periods of time. And that can do a lot of damage to our bodies the more that it stays elevated. According to some research from the Mayo Clinic, which is based out of Rochester, Minnesota, Mayo Clinic, I would be surprised if you didn't know what it was. It's one of the best, if not the best, hospital in the United States. They did a study and they did some research, and there was some notes saying that long-term activation of the stress response system can increase the risk of heart disease, weight gain, anxiety, depression, and even shorten your lifespan. Those are all very big issues that we do not want to face in life. Dr. Andrew Huberman, a lot of you probably know who he is from his podcast, The Huberman Lab. He is a neuroscientist that studied at Stanford and taught at Stanford as well. And he talked about that while cortisol is useful in acute short bursts, it becomes harmful when chronically elevated. And we're seeing that in today's world more than ever. So there's two very credible sources right there that are stating that when our cortisol remains high for long periods of time, it has negative impacts on our health in the long term. While they're not saying that it's bad to have cortisol, it's just bad to have it for longer periods of time. Now, there is a longevity link between this as well. Cortisol and stress can age us. Elevated cortisol breaks down key tissues in our body. It breaks down muscle tissue to provide energy. It slows down collagen production, which that leads to wrinkles and sagging skin. It also thins the skin, making you look older. It can weaken connective tissue and bond over time, which speeds up our physical decline. Chronic stress also shortens our telomeres. Telomeres are protective covers that protect our DNA. Okay, so take a step back. Just say this is a thing of DNA. It's a protective cover around that DNA. It's like a plastic tip cover on the end of our shoelaces. So every time our cells divide, these telomeres get shorter, which is a natural part of aging. But when it's under constant stress, these telomeres shorten much faster and can lead to cellular aging, which increases your risk of chronic diseases, and it also accelerates our physical aging as well. This was actually confirmed by Nobel Prize winning researcher Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn. She said that this can happen even in the healthiest individuals. So you could be the healthiest individual on the planet. You could eat right, you could lift, or you could be very active. You can get all of your vitamins and all of your nutrients that your body needs to thrive. But if your stress is elevated every single day, you will not be healthy, and you can still be at risk for aging faster, for more chronic diseases. So this is a vital role in healthy lifestyle and in longevity. Stress also disrupts sleep way more than you think. Chronic stress makes it hard to fall asleep and to stay asleep and to get deep sleep. In return, poor sleep disrupts the growth hormone production, which is cellular repair during sleep, which is super important. Not only does it repair our bodies during sleep, it also helps our muscles grow if we're physically active and we're trying to build lean muscle. That won't happen if we're stressed out and getting bad sleep. It also disrupts the cognitive function, which is memory, focus, and decision making. Obviously, those are all very important in everyday life. It also affects skin regeneration. So deep sleep is when our skin actually rebuilds, and I did not know that. But if we're not getting enough deep sleep, which is probably arguably the most important cycle of sleep, our skin will not regenerate. And over time, this lack of recovery can lead to faster cognitive decline. It also increases inflammation and more visible signs of aging. Speaking of inflammation, stress promotes chronic inflammation. Prolonged stress triggers low-grade inflammatory response in the body. This damages blood cells, disrupts insulin sensitivity, and it ages skin and joints much faster. This can all lead to increased risk of heart disease and diabetes, which is not something that anyone wants. In 2019, a paper that was published in the Frontiers in Human Neuroscience discussed how neuroinflammation, often driven by chronic stress, plays a central role in premature aging and neurodegenerative diseases. So very important to keep stress low. Chronic inflammation is not something that we want anywhere in our body. It's going to lead to a lot of problems in the present and later on down the line. Stress also reduces your body's antioxidant defenses, fighting off viruses, fighting off yucky stuff. Oxidative stress and imbalance between free radicals and antioxidants is a major factor in aging. Chronic stress increases oxidative damage to cells and tissues. It depletes the body's antioxidant systems, and it accelerates aging from the inside out. Not a good time, not something that we want. Hopefully, you're seeing how much stress impacts our ability to live longer, our ability for longevity, our ability to live longer and look younger as well. When you go around and you look at people that are in their 40s, their 50s, even their 60s, a lot of them have aged a lot faster than they should have, more than likely. There are a few people out there that look very, very good for their age that are taking all of this into account. And I believe that the world is so stressed out all the time from many different reasons, and it's all depending on your situation, that it plays a really vital role in the way that the United States is facing chronic diseases, facing a lot of health issues. And it's something that I believe people need to learn about and people need to get under control before they realize that it's too late, because it is hard to manage stress, very hard. As coming from someone that is a stressed out individual, or at least I feel like I'm stressed out, my Garmin would disagree with me, but sometimes I feel like I am a lot. And it's something that I'm taking into consideration every single day and being aware that this is something that I need to get under control, no matter what that takes, because it's such a vital thing that affects a healthy lifestyle, and it affects the way that we go about life in the future. There are a few signs that you can watch out for if your cortisol, or they could show you that your cortisol might be out of control. So a few of the red flags would be fatigue despite getting enough or quality sleep, cravings for sugar and processed carbs, that should be an easy one, trouble focusing or having lots of brain fog, mood swings or irritability, belly fat that won't budge, and digestive issues. I know that if there's specifically in men, if you can't seem to get rid of belly fat and you're trying everything that you can to do that, one thing that I do know is that stress rapidly decreases testosterone in men. And when we do not have high levels of testosterone, it is easier for us to put on body fat. So having high levels of stress, decreasing that testosterone, is going to lead to having that belly fat, and in return, making it hard to get it off. Now, there's some natural science-backed ways that you can manage your cortisol. So let's look at a few of these tools, and a few of these are actually backed by Andrew Huberman that I talked about earlier from the Huberman podcast. I love Andrew. He is so knowledgeable, and sometimes I can't even listen to him because he says words that I have no idea what they mean. So it's hard for me to relate, but I try to listen to a lot of his podcasts because he's so knowledgeable. He has so much research, And he's very in between about a lot of things. There's stuff that he agrees with, there's stuff that he doesn't agree with. So I like that he's not just pushing certain things. He really takes a step back, does a lot of research, and reports out on what his findings were from that research. The first science-backed way to manage cortisol is breath work and cold exposure. Huberman talks about this a lot, about the power of cold exposure and breath work. You can do many different types of breath work. You can do Wim Hof. You can do the double inhale followed by the long inhale or exhale, excuse me. This actually can calm the nervous system and drop cortisol rapidly. So it would be something like this. So doing that in the morning, I like to do my breath work right in the morning after I get up, if I can. Just go out on the balcony in the summertime, especially when it's nice, and get some fresh air, maybe get some sunlight and do some breath work and really get your lungs opened up. It definitely makes you feel more energized. It gives you a really good start to your day. If you can do cold exposure at the same time, that would be ideal. Cold exposure is going to raise your dopamine levels, and it's going to give you a lot of mental clarity. It's going to make you feel less fatigued throughout your day. If you don't have a cold plunge or access to cold exposure, you can just do a cold shower. That works as well. It can also reduce stress levels and improve resiliency over time. So the more you dabble in cold exposure, you're actually building resiliency against high cortisol, against stress, which is a good thing. The second science-backed way that you can manage cortisol would be to prioritize quality sleep. Let's not just prioritize sleep, quality sleep. One of the easiest ways that we can lower this cortisol is getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. And know that if there's some of you out there that have big dreams, big goals, but you haven't quite got there yet, sleep is one thing that can be easily neglected. It is in my life for sure, and I understand, but just be aware that it's super important. If you ever get to a point in your life where you can get 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, do it, because it's going to be so important. Now, when it comes to quality sleep, really focusing on deep sleep and REM sleep, getting as much deep sleep as you can. That is where our body truly rests and recovers. I know that if I get 2.5 hours of deep sleep, I wake up the next day and I feel fantastic. But last night, for example, I got 50 minutes of deep sleep and I woke up groggy and tired and not mentally and physically prepared for the day. So it plays a very big role in the way we feel every single day. There's some research from that Frontiers Neuroscience that actually shows that even one night of poor sleep can spike cortisol the next day. So having poor sleep one night gives you higher cortisol the next. So imagine if you're having poor sleep consistently over time. The third science-backed way to manage cortisol is fasting and controlling or having a healthy gut. Now, I made an episode on this a couple episodes ago about fasting, also about gut health and the importance of it. If you'd like to learn more about those specific subjects in general, go ahead and you can find that episode. I think it was 2 or 3 episodes ago. You can find that on my podcast page, and you can go and dig deeper into that. But let's talk about fasting first. Extended fasting can actually reduce inflammation, support your gut lining, and reset cortisol rhythms. So by eating in a time restricted window or occasionally fasting 2 to 3 days, only a few times a year, which is what I do, you give your body time to restore and to rebalance. Fasting also improves insulin sensitivity, which is tightly linked with stress and metabolism. Be smart though. Ease into fasting. It's something to take very serious and to approach with caution, because you don't want to fast when your body's already under extreme stress. You want to be in a healthy state of mind, mentally and physically. I encourage you to go listen to the episode that I made about fasting. I discuss all of that and how to be smart when you are trying to get into fasting and to use that as a health mechanism for your life. So feel free to go watch or listen to that. The fourth way to manage cortisol would be to get outside and move daily. So important. Not only for cortisol and managing stress, but for just a healthy lifestyle in general. Getting a lot of sunlight exposure in the morning helps regulate our circadian rhythm, which in return lowers cortisol at night, and it improves sleep. And if it improves sleep, then you get better sleep quality and you have lower cortisol the next day. So if you can combine getting sunlight also with daily walks, and you've got a simple recipe for natural stress relief. Getting out and going for a morning walk is a great way to get some sunlight, to lower cortisol, and to improve your sleep. The fifth and final science-backed way to manage cortisol is taking magnesium. And I also heard that if you take ashwagandha, it can help as well. Let's talk about magnesium first, specifically magnesium glycinate. That's what I take. It helps calm the nervous system and relax your body. I used to take this at nighttime. I took one dose about an hour before bed, but I found that it almost relaxed my body too much to where I would still wake up a little bit groggy. So now I've started taking it in the morning with my morning stack of fish oil, strong joints, and vitamin D3 with K2. So now I just take them all together, and that seemed to work out a lot better. But it really calms the nervous system, it relaxes your body, and it's very, very vital to take because a lot of us don't get enough magnesium in our diets. So it's important to supplement that. Now, ashwagandha, I actually don't take. I never fell on the trend when ashwagandha was super popular. I don't really know enough about it. The only reason I'm putting it in here is that when I researched for this specific episode, I found that it can help with managing cortisol and lowering stress. Now, ashwagandha is an adaptogen, which has been shown in multiple studies that it can reduce cortisol by up to 30%. Now, I didn't dig too far into those studies in terms of the subjects that they were using and what the specific scenarios were. I just wanted to put that in there. You feel free to go do your own research on ashwagandha. And if you would like to start taking that, take it at your own risk. All right, now how do we build a life that reduces stress? The simple truth is that no one and you cannot eliminate stress. It's always going to be there. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, I think stress can be used as a good thing if you can channel that energy into something that is purposeful. For me, when I feel stressed, I try to channel it into my fitness, into my nutrition, into my content like the podcast or my short form content. And I also believe that pressure is a privilege. I believe that having pressure on you, which can create stress, is a privilege because it means that you're in a situation that has opportunities to help you better your life. So I think it's important that we manage stress correctly and channel that energy into something that propels our life. And I think when it's managed poorly, when you're stressed and you're drinking every night, you're smoking, you're eating processed foods because you're stressed and you're snacking a lot, I think that's when problems start to arise more. So you can't eliminate stress, but you can channel it properly and you can build a life that helps you handle it better. That means, number one, saying no more often. Knowing your goals, focusing on what you want to do with your life, focusing on what you can control, and saying no more often, saying no to scenarios that are going to give you more stress. Number two, cutting toxic people out that might be factoring into your stress. You might be saying, when you're listening to this, Tucker, I don't have anyone in my life like that. Hate to say it, but I don't agree with you. I bet there's someone in there in your life that could be contributing to that stress. And I'm not saying if you're married or anything like that, that it's to cut out your partner. You know, when you're in a relationship, partners are always going to cause you a little bit of stress sometimes. That's normal. I'm talking about the people that really take away your energy and they take away your time and they don't reciprocate that same thing. Get rid of those people. If they're not helping you or striving to better their lives as well and striving to go on a personal growth type journey, then you got to just get them out, because they're just going to keep holding you back, unfortunately, until they can figure it out themselves. Number three, prioritize movement and stillness equally. Prioritize movement in the forms of fitness, weight training, running, cardio, whatever it may be, walking, mobility, stretching, but also stillness, being present, being in the moment, being at peace. Number four, protect your peace on your purpose. I've said it so many times and I'll say it again. Nobody knows what you're capable of. Nobody knows what kind of life that you want to live besides you. So you have to protect that. Don't let anyone get to you because of what you're doing or that you're saying no more often or that you're not hanging out as much. Protect that peace and protect your purpose, because that's all you got. That's all you got. At the end of your life, did you find your purpose? Did you live a purposeful life? This is really where our core values that we've talked about in past episodes come in. I feel like if we're aligned with our values, you don't react to every storm that comes your way. You more so stay grounded. When you have core values, when they're laid out, you can see there on my whiteboard, when they're laid out in front of you to view every single day, it's hard to miss that. Now, what has been my personal strategy when it comes to managing my personal stress? Because like I've said throughout the episode, I feel like I'm stressed a lot. Something that helps if I can get up in the morning. Been struggling with that lately. Not going to lie to everyone here. Been struggling with getting up in the morning and kind of my sleep schedule has been whack. Been going to bed later and sleeping later, not getting up as early. So we're working through that. But if I get up early And if I'm not running in the morning, it's going to be morning walks with no phone. Getting out, whether the sun's out or not, and going for a nice morning walk, fresh air. And usually if I'm going for a walk, I will breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. No mouth breathing, just to open up the lungs even more. And then not having that technology. You don't need to start your day off with that. It's just going to affect your dopamine levels. It's going to make you more groggy, more tired, more fatigued. Morning sunlight is something that I always try to prioritize because I'm trying to work on quality of sleep. Because the more deep sleep I get, the better that I feel. So getting 5-10 minutes of morning sunlight is something that I really, really try to do every single morning. Breath work, I will do this on my walks, or I'll just do it on the balcony first thing when I get up. And I usually do just deep breaths. I don't do the nose one where I don't do that. I just go in through the nose, out through the mouth, and do that a few times first thing in the morning to open up my lungs and to get the day started. I never have caffeine after 1 p.m. Usually I have one, most of the time just one, but sometimes I'll have 2 cups of coffee or espresso, and that's going to be in the morning. And then if I have another one, I'll have it maybe at 11 or 12. It depends on how early I got up that day and had my first cup, because I wait about an hour and a half after that first cup. Like I said, I've been trying to get longer and better quality sleep as well, more deep sleep, more REM sleep. Fasting, I've stuck with fasting for 2 to 3 days or 72-hour fast 2 to 3 times per year. I should be coming up on doing another one here soon. Yeah, probably end of July. I'll be doing another 3-day, 72-hour fast. Just a kind of midway reset for my body. First one I did was in February. So I'll do one in July, and then I'll do one in December as well. Saying no to things that don't serve my goals. This is something that I feel like I've really grown in over the past year, because I used to say yes to a lot of things, whether that be hanging out with friends, seeing family members, or going to work events, or I don't even have another example, but I used to just say yes to a lot of things because I didn't want to let anyone down. And it took time away from what I really wanted to do. And if I said yes to all those things now, I wouldn't have time to manage the podcast, to manage all the content that I post, to manage other goals that I have when it comes to either being content or other ideas that I have for businesses or whatever that may be. I wouldn't be able to manage it. It's even hard to manage it now, even when I'm just saying no to most things, but yes to a couple things. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoy having a good time every now and then, and seeing old friends and catching up with them, and going and seeing family. That's definitely something that's important to me, but it's just different now. And I think that that's okay, because in the long run, it's something that it's not like I'm not seeing them for a good reason. I'm working to better my life, which I think is what most people want for people that they care about. So, saying no to things that don't serve my goals. Keep that in the back of your mind, because it's super important. Because the people that are asking you to do certain things. They don't understand the goals that you have set. They don't understand what you're trying to accomplish. So they don't get why you're not coming or you're saying no to these certain things. We don't have to be perfect, and we never will be. But if we can apply all of these things that I just listed into our lives, and being consistent with them will go a long ways. It's going to help us lower our stress, lower our cortisol, and help us live healthier lives. Starting is the hardest part, and being consistent is the hardest part. I'm not the most consistent person ever, but I'm striving to be consistently good instead of occasionally great. Throughout this whole episode, the main takeaway is that stress is unavoidable. Pressure is a privilege. Stress is good if you channel it correctly. When you don't channel it correctly, that's when negative effects really start to play a role. But also, even if you're channeling it in a healthy way, be aware that having chronic stress and high levels of cortisol will affect your health. But stress will always be unavoidable. How we respond to it is 100% within our control. Chronic cortisol elevation can quietly sabotage our energy, our physique, our focus, and even our longevity. But with the right tools, the right routines, the right mindset, we can take back control and build resiliency. It starts small, get sunlight, deep breaths, move with intention, and say no more often, specifically to people and to activities that stress you out and raise your cortisol. Over time, these small actions will compound. Small wins. Our mind sharpens, our bodies start recovering better and faster, and our life starts to get better. So if you are feeling overwhelmed or burnt out, this is your reminder. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. That's not possible. You just need to start doing the things that your future self will thank you for. And if you stay consistent, the stress won't go away, but you'll learn how to manage it. And that's what it comes down to. I will leave everybody with that for today's episode. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the episode today of the Tickets Towards Success podcast. Keep collecting tickets every single day and keep striving to be better than you were the day before. I will see everyone in the next episode.